Hello. Oh, almost knocked my cup off the counter, off the table. And Miss Carla, welcome. We're going to continue reading Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's Library by Chris Grabenstein. I don't know about you, but I am enjoying this story a lot so far. And I realized yesterday while we were reading that we have got to this part of the cover illustration, the spinner with all of the numbers on it going from 0 to 900s, because those are the call number sections of the nonfiction, and that's what some of the kids are exploring right now. So I thought that was pretty fun. Oh, and I just noticed there's a balloon up here, and a couple times so far, Kyle has said he hopes there'll be balloons, so that's cute. Hey, Oliver. Oliver is here. He wants to read with us. We are on chapter 32, page 167. Okay, Sierra, said Kyle. Your turn. Sierra flicked the spinner. The pointy tip ended up in the yellow 200 zone, so she went ahead and pulled a yellow card. It's definitely for the 200 section, she said, showing her clue to Miguel before revealing it to Kyle and Akimi. Weird, said Miguel. What? Said Akimi before Kyle could. Well, the 200s are where they keep books on world religions. But there are 2 numbers on this card, said Sierra. Maybe this time we need to find 2 books, suggested Kyle. I don't know, said Sierra, studying her card. 220.5203 is obviously a call number. Obviously, said Akimi. But this other number isn't in the proper format. 2/20/15. February 20th, 2015, said Akimi. Quick, what happened on that date? Nobody knows, said Kyle, because it hasn't happened yet. Oh, right. Okay, how about February 20th, 1915? That was the opening day of the Panama Pacific International Exposition in San Francisco, said Sierra. Jaws dropped. Sorry, I'm a big World's Fair fan. Everybody else just nodded. Finally, Miguel spoke up. Look, let's just go down to the 200s room and find 220.5203. We can figure out the second chunk later. The team once again trooped down to the second floor and worked their way around the circular balcony. You guys, said Sierra, looking across the atrium at the statues, remember how they switched all the hologram authors when Bridget Wadge did her extreme challenge? Yep, said Kyle. She was doing good till she got to the Russian dude. What Russian dude? Asked Miguel, who hadn't witnessed Bridget's elimination. Guy who wrote 5 or 6 books Sierra could tell you about. But look, said Sierra. Now all the author statues are the same ones they were last night. So, said Kyle thoughtfully, if they can switch them around, these must be clues for our game, blurted Akimi. She pulled out a pen and her notepad. I'll write down their names. Start with the guy under the 000's wedge of the Wonder Dome, suggested Kyle. Right. Akimi read the labeled pedestals and jotted down all the authors' names. Thomas Wolfe, Booker T. Washington, Stephen Sondheim, George Orwell, Lewis Carroll, Dr. Seuss, Maya Angelou, Shel Silverstein, Pseudonymous Bosch, Todd Strasser. So, said Akimi when she finished writing, do you think this game could get any more complicated? Maybe, said Kyle. It's possible that Mr. Lemoncello left a couple different paths to the same solution. Well, personally, I can only take one path at a time, said Akimi. So let's go find 220 point whatever. I'm just going to peek at the verso page and see when this book was published. It was published in 2013, so at that time, 2015 was still in the future. Should be in the next row of bookcases, said Miguel. Here we go, to 20.5203. The King James Bible. Ach, die Liebe! An excellent choice, said a man with a thick German accent. The four teammates spun around and were face to face with a semi-transparent guy in medieval garb with a fur-trimmed cap and a beard that looked like two raccoon tails sewn together under his nose and chin. I am Johann Geinsfleisch zur Laden zum Gutenberg, said the holographic image, who had ink stains all over his fingertips. You created the Gutenberg Bibles on your printing press, gushed Sierra. Ja, big bestseller. You need help with your Bible? I am at your service, he bowed. Okay, said Akimi, turning to Miguel. Take it away, Miguel. Herr Gutenberg, sir, we're looking for 2/2015. Das ist einfach. Huh? That is easy. 2/2015 is Exodus, chapter 20, verse 15. Of course, said Miguel. Exodus is the second book of the Bible. 20 and 15 are the chapter and verse. He flipped through some pages. Here we go. Exodus chapter 20, verse 15. It's one of the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not steal. Chapter 33. Let's put the two new cards on the table, said Charles. He and his so-called teammates, Andrew and Haley, Charles planned on dumping them both right before he made his glorious solo exit from the library, had scoured the library together for hours looking for more book cover matches. Peckelman wasn't nearly as good with the Dewey Decimal System as he had claimed to be, and Charles needed someone to do that sort of thing for him. His father always hired tutors or research assistants for him whenever Charles had to do a major paper or a report. Finally, around 6 in, coincidentally, the 600s room, they scored twice, finding T for you and me, 641.3372, and Why Wait to Lose Weight, 613.2522. Now their picture puzzle had only 4 blanks remaining. Okay, said Andrew. I think it's pretty clear. Willie blank, walk up the skinny blank blank, house Indian and 19 blank. Charles nodded and said, interesting, even though he knew Peckelman was way off. Hello, said Haley. That doesn't make any sense. Sure it does, said Andrew. No, it doesn't. In his head, Charles had decoded the clues so far as you, a female sheep, blank, walk out the T plus H plus E, way, blank blank, in, past blank. But out loud, he said, I think we just need to tweak Andrew's translation a little. Fine, go ahead. I don't care. Andrew slumped down in his seat to sulk. How about she blank walks out the skinny blank blank house 500 and past blank. Where'd you get she? Asked Haley. From sheep, the card you gave us. Actually, I think the sheep is supposed to represent you, because a ewe is a female sheep. Fascinating, said Charles. I didn't figure that out. What he did figure out was that Haley Daly was much smarter than he had assumed. She could be a serious threat, and no way was Charles sharing his prize with anybody, especially her. And how did you get 500 from Indiana? She asked. Simple. Indianapolis, the capital of Indiana, is home to a race known as the Indy 500. Okay, so how about you blank walk out the skinny blank blank in because the Nancy Drew book was about an inn 500 past blank. Now, Peckelman piped up. That makes more sense than what you said, Charles. Indeed, said Charles, sounding magnanimous. Perhaps the clues are telling us to locate a secret skinny passageway 500 paces past some landmark here in the library. Andrew was excited. This is like the pirate map from Treasure Island. Or, said Haley, maybe these clues are telling us we need to go out and find the 4 books we haven't found yet. We should split up. I'll go back to the 400s room. We've already been there, said Andrew. Well, you guys might have missed something. Good idea, said Charles. He figured if Haley Daly wasted time retracing steps he and Andrew had already taken, she would find nothing new and become less of a threat. Let's meet back here at, say, 7. Fine. Haley left the meeting room. Charles went to the door and closed it. You know what we really need? He said to Andrew. Chocolate milk and maybe some cookies? Charles shook his head. No, Andrew. We need whatever clues Kyle Keeley and his team have found, especially if they have our missing cards. Before we go to chapter 34, I want to look at this picture again and see if we can follow along with what they figured out. So the sheep is you. And then Charles said, walk out the way. So that's walk. Or walk out. Oh no, that's out because it's a umpire. Oh, T plus HE is the. And that's someone weighing themselves. And then in, short for Indiana. And pass. Oh, like a football pass. Okay, I think we're caught up. Maybe if I had enough time to think it through, I would have figured all that out. Chapter 34. Veering left the instant she reached the second floor, Haley made her way toward the 400s room. She figured that Charles and Andrew had probably missed something important in the foreign languages room because they'd spent too much time talking to these awesome mannequins that told them all about their American heritage. As she rounded the bend, Haley saw Kyle Keeley and his crew tumble out of the 200s room. It looked like Miguel was carrying a Bible. But a Bible wasn't one of the books on display in the staff picks case. We're following separate paths to the same goal, Haley thought, and somewhere those 2 paths are going to collide. Haley slid her card key down the reader slot in the 400's door. The lock clicked and she pushed the door open. The room was dimly lit. Bienvenida, bienvenue, vidami, kuakarabisha. Welcome, boomed a voice from the ceiling speakers. Sorry, said Haley, blindly feeling her way forward and bumping into something hard and lumpy. This is the 400th room, home of foreign languages. Here, Haley, you can learn all about your American heritage. A bank of spotlights thumped on. Haley was basically hugging a department store mannequin. An overhead projector beamed a movie onto the dummy to her left, turning it into a perky woman who looked like Haley would probably look a couple of years after she graduated from college. Hello, Haley. Welcome to your American heritage. Let's begin your voyage. That's okay. I don't have time right now. I'm Haley Daly. My ancestors were Irish, okay? So can we skip the history lesson? And suddenly, the 2 mannequins at the far end of the row turned into sepia-toned versions of her great-great-great-grandmother and great-great-great-grandfather. Haley knew it was them because her dad had a bunch of old photos hanging in their family room. The 2 dummies looked exactly like Patrick and Una Daly did in their wedding portrait. No man ever wore a scarf as warm as his daughter's arm around his neck, said Patrick in his thick Irish brogue. Your da is proud of you, Haley. Thanks, but I really need to win this competition. Watch out for sneaky rascals, said Una. Them that would steal the sugar out of your punch. Haley had to smile. It sounded like her ancestors had met Charles Chiltington. "And always remember, Haley," said her great-great-great-grandfather, "every woman's mind is her kingdom. Rule it wisely, lassie." "I'm trying." "This library can help," said her great-great-great-grandmother with a wink. And when she did, a secret panel in the wall slid open. "What's going on?" said Haley. "You're our third visitor," boomed the jolly announcer in the ceiling. "So, according to the American Heritage Dictionary of Idioms, available in our reference department, by the way, the third time is a charm. Therefore, as our third visitor, you have won this charming bonus." 2 bonuses in one day? She was right. Mr. Lemoncello definitely wanted Haley Daly to win this game because clearly he knew she'd be the perfect, best-looking spokesmodel for his holiday commercials. "Don't worry, sir," Haley said to the nearest TV camera. "I won't let you down." She hurried through the open wall panel and into the 300s room on the other side. Ta-da! The first thing she saw was one of the books they'd been searching for all day long, True Crime Ohio, the Buckeye State's most notorious brigands, burglars, and bandits by Claire Taylor Winters. She quickly opened the cover and found the hidden 4x4 card. It took her 2 seconds to decipher the clue. Bandits! Haley remembered another bit of Irish wisdom, something her dad said all the time. Never bolt your door with a boiled carrot. She decided to keep this new clue secret and secure. She wouldn't share it with Charles or Andrew. Haley took off her left sneaker, folded the card in half, and slid the clue into her shoe for safekeeping. When her sneak was laced up tight again, she took the True Crime Ohio book off its display stand and tucked it into the bookshelf, making sure it was in the proper position, right between 364.1091 and 364.1093. That way, she'd know where to find it if, for whatever reason, she needed the book again. Haley looked up at the nearest camera and flashed it her brightest toothpaste commercial smile. "Go Lemoncello!" That's a cheer I just made up. We can use it in one of the commercials after I win. It's kind of hard to reach my cup because there's a cat sitting on my leg right here, and she didn't want me to bend over. Chapter 35. Entrance to Community Meeting Room B will only be granted to Kyle Keeley, Sierra Russell, Akimi Hughes, and Miguel Fernandez, said the soothing female voice in the ceiling after the 4 teammates had swiped their cards through the meeting room door's reader slot. "This makes sense," said Akimi. "We needed a place to organize all this material, put it on the walls, and draw a chart like the FBI always does on TV when they're tailing the mob." "Stole the meeting room idea from me, eh, Keeley?" Charles Chiltington was standing in the doorway to meeting room A on the far side of the rotunda. "No," said Kyle. "We just needed some place to throw our victory party after we win." "Not going to happen," said Charles smugly. Must I remind you? I'm a Chiltington. We never lose." And he disappeared back into meeting room A. After Charles was gone, Kyle led his team into meeting room B. Miguel posted the bank blueprints he had found up on the walls, while Sierra set up the Bibliomania game board on the conference table. "I'm glad this room won't let anybody else in," said Kyle. "And by anybody, you mean Charles Chiltington, right?" said Akimi. "Totally." Akimi grabbed a marker and wrote a neat outline on the dry erase walls. "Clues so far. Definite clues. 1. From the 0 room. Get to know your local library book. 2. From the art and artifacts room. Willy Wonka candy rhymes with Andy. Fine glass elevator? ? From the 200 room. Bible verse. Thou shalt not steal. Probably clues. Books authors on the backs of the library cards. Number 1, Miguel Fernandez, Incident at Hawks Hill by Alan W. Eckert, No David by David Shannon. Number 2, Akimi Hughes, One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish by Dr. Seuss, and 9 Stories by J.D. Salinger. Number 3, Unknown. Number 4, Bridget Wadge, Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing by Judy Blume, and Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone by J.K. Rowling. Number 5, Sierra Russell, The Egypt Game by Zilpha Keatley Snyder, and The Westing Game by Ellen Raskin. Number 6, Yasmin Smith-Snyder, Around the World in 80 Days by Jules Verne, and The Yak Who Yelled Yuck by Carol Pugliano Martin. Number 7, Sean Keegan, Olivia by Ian Falconer, and Unreal by Paul Jennings. Number 8, Unknown. Number 9, Rose Vermette, All of a Kind Family by Sidney Taylor, and Scat by Carl Hyacin. Number 10, Kayla Corson, Anna to the Infinite Power by Mildred Ames, and Where the Sidewalk Ends by Shel Silverstein. Number 11, Unknown. Number 12, Kyle Keeley, I Love You Stinky Face by Lisa McCourt, and The Napping House by Audrey Wood. Maybe clues. Statues ringed around the dome. Thomas Wolfe, Booker T. Washington, Stephen Sondheim, George Orwell, Lewis Carroll, Dr. Seuss, Maya Angelou, Shel Silverstein, Pseudonymous Bosch, Todd Strasser. Wow, said Akimi, stepping back to study the walls. What an incredible mess. Yeah, said Kyle. Okay, guys, there are 8 more book rooms to explore, and who knows how many more wild cards. Whose turn is it? Yours, said Sierra. Kyle flicked the spinner. Green, the 500s, science. He pulled the first green card from the deck. 4 and 20 were once in a pie. 598.367 might tell you why. Blackbirds? Said Miguel. I guess. Well, said Akimi, let's go check out another book. There's still like an inch or 2 left on our whiteboard. The 500s room was like a miniature museum of natural history. In addition to towering walls of books, there was a whole planetarium of stars and constellations projected on the ceiling. Models of planets whirled in their orbits. Sparkle-tailed comets shot around the corners of bookshelves. Kyle and his teammates made their way back to the 590s, zoology. Shelving units were arranged in a square around an open area, maybe 20 feet by 20 feet wide. When the team entered the empty space, the lights dimmed, and a guy with long wavy hair who looked like an artistic Daniel Boone faded into view. He was wearing some kind of bear fur coat and toting a musket. Bonjour, said the hologram. It's John James Audubon, said Sierra, the famous ornithologist. He gives people braces, said Kyle. No, said Sierra with a laugh. He studied and painted birds. A blackbird with a yellow beak flew into the open area and roosted on a tree branch. The bird and the tree were both holograms, too. This beautiful blackbird from Alexandriaville, Ohio, said the semi-transparent Audubon image, can mimic in song the sounds it has heard. And the bird started wailing. Wow, said Akimi, that sounds exactly like a police siren. Yo, said Miguel, freaky. To learn more, said Audubon, be sure to read Bird Songs, Warbles, and Whistles, written by Dr. Diana Victoria Garcia, with classic illustrations by moi. With that, Audubon sat down on a camp stool. An easel appeared, the blackbird struck a pose, and the outdoorsy artist started painting the bird's portrait while humming Blackbird by the Beatles. Okay, said Kyle, this is the strangest clue yet. Well, here's the book at least, said Sierra, who had found 598.367 on the shelf. So what do a blackbird's wails and warbles have to do with finding our way out of the library? Said Akimi. Just then they heard a very different sound. Behind one of the bookcases, something growled, then roared. Did you guys hear that? Said Sierra. Yeah, said Akimi. I don't think it's a robin redbreast. A very rare white Bengal tiger with icy blue eyeballs crept out from behind a wall of bookshelves and stalked into the open area where Audubon sat painting his bird portrait. Is that another hologram? Asked Miguel. Roar! No one stuck around to find out. Chapter 36. Down on the first floor, Charles and Andrew were working their way around the semicircle of 3-story tall, floor-to-dome bookcases filled with fiction. It was nearly 8 p.m. "We need to find that blasted book," said Charles, craning his neck to study the shelves. "I'm getting kind of hungry," mumbled Andrew. "You had a snack this afternoon," snapped Charles. "Well, now it's time for dinner." "No, we need to find Anne of Green Gables first." The classic Lucy Maud Montgomery was the middle book. The classic by Lucy Maud Montgomery was the middle book on the top shelf in the staff picks display case. So far, Charles, Haley, and Andrew had not been able to find it anywhere in the library. "Unfortunately," said Andrew, "they've temporarily erased the book's call number from the database. So we wouldn't know what to punch into the hover ladder's control panel," grumbled Charles. "Actually," said Andrew, "they might have shelved it in the children's room. Or maybe the 800s with literature. Could be in the 400s too, because it was originally written in Canadian, which is technically a foreign language." "So you have said, Andrew, repeatedly. But we've already searched those other locations. Several times. It has to be here, with the other fiction titles. You just need to fly up and find it." "Well," said Andrew, "I'm kind of afraid of heights." "Fine. Whatever. I'll go up and grab it. But you have to give me some kind of call number to enter into the hover ladder." Lucy Maud Montgomery wrote other Anne books. There's Anne of Avonlea." Charles dashed over to the nearest library table and swiped his fingers across the glass face of its built-in computer pad. "Here we go. Anne of Avonlea by Lucy Maud Montgomery. F-Mon. "Yes," said Andrew. "Fiction books are usually put on the shelf in alphabetical order by the author's last name. Nonfiction titles are classified according to the Dewey Decimal System." "How long have you known this?" Andrew's nose twitched. "Since 2nd grade. "So all we ever needed was F-Mon? We could have found this book hours ago?" Andrew gulped. "You are such a disappointment." Shaking his head, Charles huffed over to one of the hover ladders. He quickly jabbed F, M, O, and N into the keypad. The boot clamps locked into place around his ankles. "You owe me for wasting all this time, Andrew. You owe me big time. If you let me down once more, I swear I will tell everybody you're a big blubbering baby. I'll Twitter it and post it on Facebook." "Don't worry. I'll make you glad you picked me for your team, Charles, I promise." The hover ladder lifted off the floor and gently glided up to the M section of the fiction wall. Shuttling sideways, it carried Charles over to a shelf displaying all the Anne books. He grabbed a copy of Anne of Green Gables. As soon as he did, the ladder started its slow descent to the floor. "What'd you find?" asked Andrew when Charles landed. "The clue we needed." He showed Andrew the card that had been tucked inside the front cover. "Okay," said Andrew. "It's C plus hat. So the word is chat, which, by the way, could also be chat, the French word for cat." "Well done, Andrew," said Charles, even though he knew the clue was really C plus Anne equaling can, thereby making the puzzle "you can walk out the way blank 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 in past blank." The way what did what, he wondered, and what does in mean? Charles desperately needed to find the 3 missing pictograms. Suddenly, Mr. Lemoncello's voice boomed out of speakers ringing the rotunda. "Hey, Charles! Hey, Andrew! Let's do a deal!" Game show music blared. A canned crowd cheered. Charles turned around and saw shafts of colored light illuminating 3 envelopes perched on top of the librarian's round desk. Clarence, the security guard, marched into the reading room and folded his arms over his chest, took up a position near the 3 envelopes. "We have a green envelope, a blue envelope, and a red envelope," said Mr. Lemoncello. "In 2 of those 3 envelopes are copies of 2 of the 3 pictogram clues you still need. In one, there is a clunker card. If you pick an envelope with a clue, you get to keep it. and you get to keep going. But once you pick the clunker card, you're done, and you must suffer the consequences. Andrew raised his hand. Yes, Andrew? What are the consequences? Something bad, said Mr. Lemoncello. In fact, something wicked this way will probably come. Do you want to do a deal? Yes, said Charles. The canned audience cheered. All right then. Charles, you roll first. Pardon? Swipe your fingers across the nearest desktop console, computer panel. The Dice Tumbler app is up and running. Again, the pre-recorded audience cheered. They sounded like they loved watching dice tumble more than anything in the world. Charles slid his fingers across a glass pane. The animated dice rolled. Ooh, cried Mr. Lemoncello. Double sixes. That gives you a 12. Is that good, sir? Maybe, maybe not. Okay, Andrew, your turn. Peckelman tapped the glass. The dice flipped over. Another set of doubles, said Mr. Lemoncello. Yeah, muttered Charles. 2 1s. Snake eyes. Is that bad? Asked Andrew. Maybe, said Mr. Lemoncello. Maybe not. Okay, guys, which envelope would you like to open? Charles thought about it while tick-tock music played. They were given this chance to play Let's Do a Deal after they located the Anne of Green Gables clue. Coincidence? He didn't think so. We'll take the green envelope, sir. Clarence presented the green envelope to Charles. Open it, said Andrew. Open it. Charles undid the clasp, pulled out a card. A loud zonk rocked the room. The card was black, with blocky white type. Uh-oh, mumbled Andrew. What's it say on that card? Sorry, kids, you're out of luck, read Charles. So out of doors, you're all now stuck. Clarence picked up the blue and red envelopes and marched back toward the entrance hall. What's that mean? Said Andrew. Well, said Mr. Lemoncello, Charles rolled a 12 and you rolled a 2. What's 12 plus 2? 14, said Charles eagerly, the way he always did in math when he wanted to remind the teacher that he was the smartest kid in the class. Ooh, said Mr. Lemoncello, this is not good. In fact, I'd say it's stinkerific. Stinkerific? Said Andrew. Is that even a word? It is now, said Mr. Lemoncello. JJ, tell them what they've lost. The authoritative female voice boomed out of the ceiling speakers. Warning! Due to a clunker card, all 10 Dewey Decimal doors will lock in 10 minutes at exactly 8 o'clock. If you are in one of those rooms, kindly leave immediately. The 10 doors on the second floor will remain locked for 14 hours. Andrew panicked. What? 14 hours? I told you 12 plus 2 was bad, quipped Mr. Lemoncello. Of course, it could have been good. If you had picked one of the other envelopes, you would have received a clue and a free 14-month subscription to Library Journal. Charles did some quick math. Sir, does this mean we'll be locked out of the 10 Dewey Decimal rooms until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning? Bingo, said Mr. Lemoncello. It sure does. This stinks, whined Andrew. We need those stupid rooms to solve your stupid puzzle. Clunker cards stink. This game stinks. 14-hour penalties stink. Charles did his best to block out Andrew's rant. He needed to think. And then it hit him. Kyle Keeley's team had to be working on some other solution to the bigger puzzle of how to escape from the library. Otherwise, Charles and his team would not have been able to find the 9 clues they'd already picked up. Surely, if Keeley's team had been playing the same memory match game, they would have found at least one of the pictograms before Charles, Andrew, or Haley did. They must be working a completely different angle. Charles was certain that if he could use this downtime to learn what Keeley and his team had done in their meeting room, and combined it with his picture puzzle, he would emerge from the library victorious. Do not despair, Andrew, Charles said confidently. We are still going to win. How? Charles leaned in and cupped a hand around his mouth so no security cameras could read his lips. Remember, he whispered, you need to pay me back for wasting a ton of time in finding Anne of Green Gables. What? You're the one who picked the stupid green envelope with the stupid clunker card. Charles narrowed his eyes and chilled his hushed voice. So? Nothing, said Andrew nervously. Just thought I'd, pointed out. Charles turned his eyes into blue ice. So, whispered Andrew, swallowing hard, what exactly do you want me to do? Find a way to sneak into community meeting room B. Andrew wheezed in panic. That's impossible. Don't worry, I have an idea. What is it? 2 words. Sierra Russell. All right, that's a good place to stop. We're at chapter 37, page 195. We have made our way quite a ways into this book. I will see you tomorrow. Thanks for joining me, and I hope you have a good day.